Alright, so welcome to the Two Cooks in the Kitchen. Today we are going to make bone broth. I should say this weekend we're going to make bone broth because this is going to cook for at least 36 hours, if not longer, maybe 40. So bone broth. What is bone broth? The bones are cooked long enough that the cartilage and all the good things in the bones become collagen, and that process in itself takes a good 20 hours at least. And collagen is the most abundant protein in the body. It's made up of a combination of amino acids, primarily glycine, proline, hydroxyproline, and arginine, or whatever. It's this specific combination of these four amino acids that makes collagen so special. Collagen is, if you've ever had a really good bowl of ramen and the broth kind of coats your lips and feels a little greasy, that's the collagen in the broth. So the bone broth is the basis of a really good ramen. I'm not sure if pho is made the same way, but I've made some really good pho using bone broth. So we have here quite a few marrow bones that we've already cooked. We've taken the marrow out, but the bones have a little bit of, they've been cooked a little. If you're just using soup bones or whatever, I would put them under the broiler or on the grill for a little while just to cook them a little bit to get some more depth into this. So we're just trying to get a little color on these, blacken them a little bit, burn the skins a little, and that'll just help us to add a little depth to our bone broth. Yeah, this is all looking good now. And got some fire. It's gonna be fire. Okay. You can come too. And we have 2 onions that have been on the grill, and they're a little charred. We're going to add those in. We've got some carrots, and see all these burnt peels and everything. That just adds depth. We've got some carrots and some celery. Throw those in there. I've picked some fresh parsley from the garden, and I've got some thyme as well. So our pot's getting pretty full, but so for this, we keep a bag in the freezer, and every time we're cutting up an onion, here's the end of a leek. You throw this in the bag, and you throw it in your bone broth. I don't think I'm going to be able to fit all of this in there, but I'm going to use some of it because I like the leeks in there. You've got carrot ends in there, pieces of onion, just basically anything. Instead of throwing it away, save it up. I've got a meat bone that I saved, a beef bone from a prior roast, so that goes in there. And then any kind of bones will do. What you're really looking for, if you can add anything with cartilage or like oxtail or neck bones, that's going to give you much more of that collagen when this is all said and done. So I do have some oxtails I'm going to add in here.
More plastic. Hate plastic.
Miles of plastic.
Making you work for it.
Yep. All right, so those will go in, and then I'm going to fill this pot the rest of the way, or all the way, with water. And we're going to put this on the burner and get it boiling. and then turn it down to a simmer and just let it simmer for a long time. And if once these vegetables cook down a little bit, I may be able to add a little bit more water. We'll see how that goes as it's going long. But this is going to cook for at least 36 hours and maybe 40 hours. It's Friday afternoon now, so this may be done on Sunday. It's going to be really, really good.
Okay.
We make a turkey, every time we cook a turkey, we make a turkey broth in a very similar fashion. Right now our freezer is full of turkey broth because you get a lot out of one turkey. And we've just been waiting for enough beef bones to make the beef broth. So, up we go. I'm going to put this on a hot burner so I can get it going. And then I'm going to move it to another burner later when I just need it to simmer. Another thing we might add is salt. Like quite a bit of salt. And later on, you know, sometime tomorrow, maybe we can taste it and see if it needs more salt. But I think for now, that's that. Okay, it's been 24 hours. Let's see how our bone broth is doing. It's been simmering away here very slow, low and slow. And what's been happening is that some of that collagen has been turning into gelatin. Look at that. We're getting a really nice, still clear, nice color to it. I'm going to let this go probably another, I think this is going to be a 40-hour batch here. So we'll give it another 16 hours or so and see what we've got. Okay, so our bone broth has been just slowly bubbling away over here for 39 hours. And we're going to call it. At this point, it's taken on a really nice little color, a little bit of color. And I mean, look at that. That's something. Now this is a little bit of a tricky part, especially when your pot is this full.
Oh boy, that's gonna go everywhere.
I don't think there's any way to do this without making a mess, so you just go.
Don't worry about the pot holder, we'll wash it again.
Look at that nice color on that broth. My gosh.
Oh, you're pushing on it.
Yep.
You got more room.
Okay, I think we're going to finish this in another bowl. Beautiful, beautiful batch of broth. Oh, look at that. It all fit in there. I didn't think it was gonna. So now we've got the ability to try and get every last little bit out of this. And then we're gonna have to let this cool a little bit before we can do anything with it. But I'll tell you, at this point, you have some choices. You can let this cool and skim the fat off the top if you like it a little bit less fat. I personally think the fat adds a lot of flavor, so I usually just leave it in. And what we're gonna do with this, once it cools a bit, is we're gonna freeze it. This broth will freeze for a long, long time. And there's it's great that we're doing this right at the beginning of summer, because as more produce becomes available this summer, we're going to find lots of uses for this broth. Anything that calls for beef broth, if you use this, it's just instantly elevated. And boy, when the peppers start getting ripe, we're gonna have some good things. And the tomatoes, so right at the beginning of summer, good time to be making this. Any time of year, actually, is good. All right, so I'm gonna call it, and we've got our broth. We're gonna let it cool. You can, at this point, it's pretty flavorful, so you could actually put some ice cubes in there to help it cool quicker. But we'll come back after it's cooled a bit, and we'll get ready to put it in the freezer. Okay, so since I used a strainer with pretty big holes, our broth has some chunks in it, which I don't mind. I generally like that. But if you want a clearer broth, before it cools too much, you can strain it through a fine strainer or through cheesecloth or something. And this will just give you a clearer broth for, say, something like au jus, where the appearance of the broth might be better if it's clearer. So I'm going to do that with this portion of it. And when we freeze it, we'll make a note that this is the clear broth. And this is a marvelous little thing here. This freezes it in 1 cup cubes. And
I believe you can do smaller amounts too. There are lines in there if you wanted to do
this one has a line for a 1/2 cup as well. Most recipes that I use beef broth in are calling for cup level, 4 cups, 2 cups, 1 cup. So these are really handy. I also have a 1/2 cup device because sometimes it just calls for a little bit. It's just handy to be able to go into the freezer and grab a cup of broth. And we've never had it go bad in the freezer or anything. I guess we'll probably use it too quickly. I don't know what bad frozen broth would look like.
Just gets crystally on the outside, I think. Nothing wrong with that.
That's just water.
I'm sure you shouldn't keep it in your freezer for 10 years.
I think we're just gonna make it to 4 cups here with this clear broth. Yes, indeed. So there you have it, and this will store for a long, long time. So thanks for watching 2 Cooks in the Kitchen, and we'll see you next time.